Hello, wonderful people, and welcome to the Africam show. We're starting off here at Hyena Pan. I have been having such a wonderful time watching the elephants here, enjoying the waters. They look so happy. Of course, I can't really say what a happy elephant looks like, but at least to me, they look very happy. And that's the thing about this very abundant season. Lots of water, lots of greenery. Everyone just seems so happy. Well, I hope that all of you are happy as well. And if you aren't and you've had a tough day, that's okay too, because the next 45 minutes are for you and us to go through our different cameras. And hopefully, by the time that we're done, you feel a little bit better and you have a big old smile on your face. And it certainly works for me. I can promise you, I was actually just saying to Kirst, who is behind the scenes, I was just saying to her that around 3 o'clock I start to get quite sleepy. Um, but I can count on the fact that once I do the Africam show, afterwards I can do anything. It's like the day starts again because I feel so energized. And I hope that we can all feel that way together as well. But also, it's not just about feeling, it's also about learning because we're live and interactive. So send through questions and send through comments as you usually do. You know how much I love to hear from all of you. And we've already got so many hellos coming through. Amber Co says hello from a very cold 2 degrees Fahrenheit morning. Oh my goodness. You say you're glad to be here with coffee and a big thank you to all for these fantastic shows. Our absolute pleasure. I hope that you stay nice and warm. Casper's third ghost. Whoa, -9 degrees Fahrenheit in Milwaukee. Wow, wow, wow. I'm feeling absolutely spoiled here in South Africa at the moment. I am sitting in about 28 degrees Celsius weather. Beautiful, sunny, clear. It's a proper summer's day. So I'm trying to send all this warmth your way. And you say, Casper's third ghost, you've also got some hot coffee and two hot water bottles ready for some warm stories and sights. This sounds perfect. I've just got some cold water. Zygote, you say, namaste, namaste to you too, Zygote. Thanks so much for joining us. Kauru, you say, hi, Trishala. I've got milk again with scrambled eggs and cheese and ham mixed in today. My goodness, Kauru, you just keep on surprising us. Jan Powers, you say hi all, hi Trishala, another chai tea latte on this cold morning in the panhandle of Florida. You may even say see snow here today. Oh, this is so exciting, Jan. I hope that you do get to see snow. Down here, it's all about the green, the water, the sun, the humidity, the heat. It's almost even though you know that obviously we're in different hemispheres, so yeah, we're going to experience the opposite kinds of climate, but it's kind of really special when you think about how we can all come together no matter where we are in the world and what type of weather we're experiencing, and we can enjoy the African wilderness together. Oh, look at this little one. So I'm looking at this little one's head, and it almost looks like the baby was sulking because the head was so low. And it actually made me think that as guides, well, you know, when you do anything, if you spend a lot of time doing something, then there are little things that you may not even on a conscious level. And very at the very beginning, I said to you that these elephants look so happy, but I don't know what happy looks like. It's just what the feeling I had. Um, and I started to look at that baby whose head was kind of hanging, and I started to think about the position of the head. And I realized that there's a lot of subtleties in the positioning of an elephant's head that is maybe information that I don't realize that I know. Sometimes when they're very relaxed, their heads can be held quite low. And other times when they're happy or excited, like where they're running towards water, they smell water, maybe they smell a herd mate or see a herd mate, then their head picks up a little. And then when they're feeling like they need to display and show off how big and large and intimidating they are, their head rises even higher. Anything that I can say that I've consciously thought about before, it's just knowledge that you seem to get from spending lots of time with them. And it's the same type of knowledge that you can get by spending a lot of time with them through the cameras as well, starting to notice those little things. And if you manage to come down to South Africa and visit us and actually get to see our wildlife in person, I'm sure that it will really enrich your experience. You'll notice so many things. April Owl, you say good morning, everyone, from sunny Connecticut. You're watching snow covered woodlands with your coffee on this frigid morning, and you're glad to be here. Well, we're glad that you're here, April Owl. Dear NC, you say good morning from a very cold Seattle. You've got your hot coffee and you're looking forward to the show. Thanks for being here, Trish. Thank you for being here. Thank you all. Bowl of, oh, so many. All right, we'll get through them. Bowl of Kittens, you say, hello, everyone. Looking forward to the show with Trishala and Elderflower Kombucha. As I've said to you before, I am a fan of the booch. Can't say I've tried elderflower one before, but it sounds delightful. I do have more hellos, but it's just something I'm noticing. I'm trying to watch. So the herd doesn't look like they're listening to each other, but they're not necessarily doing anything either. Now, usually when there's, it kind of looks like they're standing still purposely. That's when they're listening to each other and they're communicating. But everyone seems to be doing a lot of nothing, but still moving their trunks around, still moving their tails around, um, moving their legs a little bit. Almost looks like the definition of chilling. But the other thing that caught my eye, if you look, so you can see the baby's bum, very cute. And then if you move to our right, you can see there's a tree there in the background that you can see between the legs of this elephant that's closest to us. And it looks as if that tree, that some bark has been pulled off and that the inner bark is exposed. But it seems like an odd time of year for that to be happening. So maybe once the elephant moves, I'll have a better look. Oh, here we have a little bit of resting happening as well. This bull is just, that is the definition of chill right there. In fact, that's very similar to what I looked like around 3 o'clock this afternoon. I have seen this kind of behavior before where an elephant will just rest their head against something, especially something that is the perfect width to fit between their tusks. Now, as you can imagine, their heads are pretty heavy, but they're it's not unknowable, obviously, because then they'd all have their heads down on the floor. But their cranium has little pockets. So if you've ever seen our faces and what our sinuses look like, you'd see that there are little holes, air pockets in those areas, which is why if you have congestion or you go diving and stuff like that, it can be a little uncomfortable in that area. So an elephant's skull has a similar kind of anatomy where there are these, it almost looks honeycomb like, lots of little holes in it. And that's because their head can't be too heavy, otherwise they will not be able to hold it up. But that doesn't mean you can't get relief every now and then. And the other times in that kind of behavior, resting the head with something between the tusks, is when there is some kind of pain that they alleviate. Maybe something with the tusk. I mean, imagine when your tooth is not, um, sometimes your tooth can feel uncomfortable. It's not necessarily pain, but maybe you want to bite down, or it feels like you can, if you push against it or apply pressure, it feels better. I've seen elephants, at least what appears to me, to engage in that kind of behavior. I've also seen elephants who have an obvious injury to the tusk do things like this, but that elephant didn't look like he had an obvious injury. And to be honest, it looks like that particular leaning trunk is just of great interest to everyone. I mean, how often do you get a tree that's leaning like this, that's not about to fall over, the roots are still intact, and you can give yourself a good old scratch, you can lean on it. Seems fantastic. Mindy, you say you can't begin to imagine how heavy their heads are. Let me try and remember how heavy exactly their heads are. But I mean, as you can imagine, if you're a 5, 6 ton animal, your head is going to be pretty heavy. No, where are you going? You're leaving your nice log. I was also looking at that tree again, and where I thought that it looked like the bark had been pulled off. So, in fact, right in front of us, you can see where bark has been pulled off on this tree. Can you see that pale section? But that's what it looks like once it's healed. Now, the one that we saw earlier was looked fresh. Now, maybe an elephant just kind of did that because it felt like having a bit of tree cambium, which is a layer of um, very active cells that's between the outer and inner bark, between the barks and uh, the actual wood of the tree. So that tree cambium grows in both directions. I kind of think, and this is not true, but I think of them as stem cells because they develop into that same layer of cells. If they push outwardly, they develop into bark. If they push inwardly, they develop into wood. So it's a really juicy, nutrient-rich, sugary part of the tree. And obviously, elephants love it, even if it's not necessarily what they go after at this time of the year because there's so much readily available food. I think there might be more elephants at Tau. So let's go over and have a look. Isn't everything just so pretty at this time of year? Look at this. So much ground cover. Insane. Mindy, I'm just thinking about. I will go and check after the show what percentage of their head, what weight percentage their head is compared to their body, or of their body. But I would imagine it's probably like I'd probably say the size of an average human, probably the weight of their head, at least. But that structure, having these holes in the head, kind of like sinuses, is super, super effective at making sure that it's it can be supported by the anatomy. Right now I'm very curious. Hang on. I have this, so I actually have a bunch of random notes, and I know that I have this somewhere. Luckily for me, I have it as a document, which is very handy, by the way. I'm going to have a look at it because now I'm thinking about the size of their heads too much, Mindy. Uh, Grumpy old man, you say it's her. Wonderful, Trishala. It's you, grumpy old man. Thank you for joining us. Are you having a protein shake this time? Kennedy Ann, you say hello, everyone, and hello, Trishala. Hello, Kennedy. And me as well. Hi, Bridget. Jean Gale says good morning. Of course, you're here with your coffee. Bob from Kalamazoo, or should I say Bob from -1 Kalamazoo. How you doing, Bob? You say good day. I'm sending warmth your way. April Owl, you say the baby elephant leaned down and dipped his lip into the water to drink, didn't use his trunk. Yes, so that's pretty common, especially if the baby is quite young. If a calf is below a year old, you might see that a lot. If it's under 8 to 6 months old, you're almost always going to see that because they don't really have too much control over their trunk. And they can still use their trunk. They can still touch things and be curious about the world with the trunk. But if sucking up water and holding it in the trunk and then maneuvering it and pouring it into your mouth takes a fair bit of skill. Uh, I mean, if you can remember what it was like when you were, I must have been about 8 years old or 7 years old, when you finally figured out that you could, if you had a straw, you could suck water up into the straw and put your thumb over, and then you could hold the water in that straw. You know, it takes a while for you to figure those things out, and we're definitely not figuring those things out as toddlers. But once you get a little bit more curious and you get to be a little bit better with your control of your mouth and your suction and getting your thumb there in the right place at the right time, then you can't stop doing it. It's at least for an elephant, it's a very important skill. And once they can do it, they will do it. But until then, they've got to put their water and put their mouths to and drink. Zygote, you say grazing with no rush because food is everywhere. Isn't it just wonderful to see? And egrets, we've got black impalas, wildebeest, and the elephants just, like you say, no rush whatsoever. They don't even have to move. Oh, look at this little youngster in the middle here. It's actually copying the adults because I don't think it's doing real eating. It's more interested in doing the flicking that the adults are doing with the vegetation. Now, the reason that they do that, you'll see them grab vegetation, pull, and then hit it against themselves. That's just to loosen any soil that comes up as they pull it out of the ground, which makes sense. You don't want to grind your teeth down against sand. No, no. So they knock it off and pop it into their mouths. And sometimes you can see little neat little bundles if you go out on bushwalk. Neat, very, I cannot describe to you how neat these bundles are, especially if they're bundles of grass. It's as if all the grass is the same length and put into this neat little bouquet. But you can find them when you're out in bushwalk as well. Elephants that dusted them off and then maybe decided not to eat them. I'd love to know exactly what type of vegetation it is that's growing here. It looks very herby. Definitely grass as well, but there are other plants in there too. Mindy, I agree. This is outrageous by the standards I have. This is so green, so lush. I honestly didn't even know it had the potential to be this lush. So this is really wonderful. Hi, Katie. You say hello. It's the first time for you to be here. Well, that's a very warm welcome from all of us here at Africam. And we hope that you spend wonderful minutes, if that's all you have in the day, but hours watching the cameras. Isn't it nice to have the opportunity to watch these things live? And Katie, if you don't know what we do during the show here, I mean, we started 20 minutes ago, but um, we have 45 minutes where we go through the cameras depending on what's being shown on the cam. And then a guide, whether it's me or one of the other rangers, will answer any questions that you may have. So, Katie, if you've been watching the cameras and maybe you had some questions or you noticed some things that you weren't sure about, go ahead and pop me a question because that's what I'm here for. I wonder how the crocodiles here at Tau are doing. Do you remember when we used to look up on these hills, you would see such huge patches of red where the soil was exposed? If you look carefully, you can see where those patches were, but now they've all been filled in with grass. Isn't that special? And I can see some tops of some bushes moving. I wonder if there are more elephants through there too. Now, during Wild Moments last week, when we were with Kelly, we had a question. Somebody was saying that, oh, let me see who it was, that they were watching the cams and they saw that elephants were tossing vegetation on their heads. Oh, it was you, April Owl. You said that you saw elephants tossing vegetation on their heads. And I think that this is a really wonderful time to see that because we're seeing, if you look at them as they feed here, you'll see lots of vines, lots of creepers, the type of vegetation that would stick together long enough to be able to be stuck on their heads. Well, not stuck, but tossed up onto their heads. And the behavior that we're seeing there is the exact behavior that gets it onto their heads. But first, let's have a bit of a scan for the crocodiles. Do you know what vegetation that is over on that side? I'm kind of dying to know now. Quite broad-leaved, very herby. Maybe we can have a closer look in a moment. These crocodiles must be so happy as well. And Mindy, you say it just goes to show how powerful water can be. And as Steve always says, water is the currency of life. It absolutely is. Water is unimaginably important, even to those animals that are very well suited to arid environments like eland, gemsbok, springbok. They still need that moisture requirement from something. It's just not happening at dams and rivers and pans, or doesn't need to happen in those areas. But water is absolutely the currency of life. And I'm sure that the crocodiles, if they see them, would agree with us. Cora Taylor, hi Cora. You say your daughter and you have been watching the live cams on and off often. This is your first time catching the show, and it's amazing. Thank you so much, Cora. I hope that you and your daughter will join us again. We can also, I hope that we'll also see you in Wild Moments, which is on Thursdays at the same time, and that's when you get two guides and we go through the different uh, kind of best clips of the week, and we can discuss animal behavior. We can pause, we can rewind. So we hope that you'll join us for Wild Moments as well. And again, Cora, if you had any burning questions walking or watching the cams, let me know. But also, I hope that you've used the chat feature, the Boma chat, because the community members are so knowledgeable and they would not have a single problem to answer any questions that you may have as well. Jean Gale, you say amazingly lush at Tao. It is. I am a little. I don't know. Let's see if we can ask the Zoomy if they can just zoom into the the herbaceous looking plants at the end there. Just want to get a clear look. I'm not going to be able to idea it off the bat, but I do have one of my books around. If I can get a clear look, I might be able to come back a little later with, or maybe on Thursday, with an idea of what it could be. Bird-wise, we have the usual suspects. We have Egyptian geese. We've got some egrets there. Earlier, I think I saw a white-faced whistling duck as well. And then we just passed a red-knobbed coot. And there's, oh, thank you very much, Zoom. Oh, they look very, very familiar. Excuse me while I take a screenshot. If you're wondering what a Zoomy is, Zoomies are the wonderful people that control the cameras. Very nice broadleaves. Hmm. Okay, well, I've taken a photo. I'll do a little bit of digging. It's very difficult though, like this, because I'm not able to see the margins clearly. I'm not able to see whether there's any kind of fuzz on it, whether it's prickly, whether it's soft, whether there's a lot that we need to feel for when it comes to plant ID. But doesn't mean I can't have give it a go. Even the impalas look so healthy. I think for impala males, this is a time of year when they really do look pretty healthy. It's and I say impala males because at this time the impala lambs and the ewes would be well the ewes would be investing quite a lot of energy into their lambs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in bad condition. Oh my gosh, somebody left a waterbuck head in the grass there. Well, that tells you how thick the vegetation is. Goodness me. All we saw of that waterbuck was just its head. Oh, and look at that, another waterbuck head. Just to wrap up there, so impalas almost always look like they're in excellent condition. The only time they can look a bit scraggly and a bit just untidy is when they're either during the rut when you see impala rams, and that's because they stop grooming themselves, they stop really taking care of anything except securing a territory and finding females to mate with. So now rut is over, the impala ewes have given birth, and the impala rams are no longer, well, they haven't been keeping territories for a while, and there's so much abundance. So I feel like the conditions extra good at this time of year. So this is the behavior that I was telling you about. So April owl, when you were asking, putting vegetation on their heads, it usually happens when they're feeding like this. So you'll see that. Oh, we'll see the tip of his trunk, but he'll twist round and he'll grab something, and he is not playing ball today. There we go. And so sometimes when they swing, we saw that they swing the vegetation towards their body and hit off debris against their body. But sometimes they can swing a little bit wildly, and then they swing right up to their heads and they place the vegetation on top of it. And bowl of kittens, that is an excellent question and also one that I wanted the answer to, but it is very difficult for me to ID them from here. Bowl of kittens was just wondering what those yellow flowers at Tau are. But bowl of kittens, you know what I can do? Interestingly, I have a friend at Madikwe Game Reserve at the moment. I'm going to ask her if she can go to Tau, take a photo for me, and then we can go from there. All right, from the very, very big, how about we head over to Katmai Pan and have a look at some of the slightly smaller animals. Oh, hey, terrapins, just chilling. You guys look a little bit dry. Terrapins, I feel terrapins are the funniest. They can really stretch their legs out. It's almost as if they don't care to be in any specific position. Whatever they need to dry themselves out um, sufficiently, that's all they care about. And I think these two might be the driest terrapins I've ever seen. I have a feeling the one at the edge there. Oh, yes. Nice yawn. I think that one might try and get into the water again. He's definitely moving around more than the other one. But because they're reptiles, they also need to bask. This is a good time for them to regulate their body temperature, get in as much heat as possible. But remember that with ectothermic animals, or animals that are cold blood, it works both ways. It's not only that they can get really cold, but they can also overheat. So there's a delicate balance that they've got to strike between getting into the water, getting out of the water, and making sure that they're always in a safe zone. But because of their physiology and the fact that their bodily processes are basically reliant on ambient temperature and reliant on any kinds of behaviors that they can change. For example, basking or going into the water. It also means that their range of tolerance is that buffer zone is a little bit bigger than us endothermic animals that need to stay in quite a specific range. But thankfully, our body processes allow us to stay in that specific range, and it doesn't depend on the ambient temperatures or our behavior. They can be extra cute um, when they slide into the water, and I was hoping they could do it for us. Hey, Pink Ellie. Thank you very much for that. You say Ben thought that the vegetation was an invasive species, if that helps. Um, Rag something? Maybe ragweed? That does help me. That definitely does help me. Thank you, Pink Ellie. I will have a look, but it looks very familiar. Casper said ghost, you say cute little feet hanging out. Oh, somebody's coming. And that's what I was hoping. I was not hoping. I would always like an animal to feel comfortable, and if they're relaxing, let them be happy relaxing. But I was hoping we'd see how quickly they can scurry into the water when they need to. I mean, even scurry, I think, is the wrong word. They basically just plopped into the water. Just first they were on the rock, and then they were in the water. That was it. You can see the little heads, or you could. Is I just wonder if we could pull out a little bit and see what caused that. I wonder if it was just the sound of the vehicle going past, which is something. When we drive in our game drive vehicles across a damn wall, you will see terrapins on the other side start to slide into the water. Yeah, I think you enjoy the water. Yeah. Why are you hanging out on the rocks? One of my favorite things about this pan is when you see elephants come through and they just take over, and the sound is so wonderful. And um, most of the times that I've seen elephants here has also been the times when I've seen impalas here, and then see impalas have a bit of a moment when the elephants come around, a bit of confusion, and they go left and right, and they know what to do. But eventually, everyone settles in and they share the pan together. Karu, you were wondering if terrapins eat, was it baby birds? Um, so terrapins are omnivorous, but I can't say I've ever come across any information about them eating baby birds. Definitely invertebrates, amphibians, because remember that they've got an aquatic lifestyle. So anything that lives in and around the water, I think, is fair game for them. But that being said, we know that there are many birds that nest in around water, so it's not a crazy question to ask that, of course. But I can't say that I've ever come across them consuming or come across information of them consuming baby birds. They're not the fastest animals. Birds could see it coming from a mile away. Oh, when they're on the top of a rock and they just, need to leap into the water, yeah, that's pretty quick, but of course, gravity them. But for them to actively stork, I think I think it would just cause alert too many animals to its presence, particularly the parents of baby birds. If the parents weren't there, um, I wonder. Maybe they could, but I can't say I've seen it. Hey, Christy, you've seen one eating a dead bird before? I can believe that. Looks like we had a whole lot of what appears to be string of stars, those flowers. Christy, I could definitely believe that. I mean, they're not. It's not unusual to see them nibbling on a bit of something floating, like a bit of an animal carcass floating in a dam or a river. And it's actually an excellent strategy if you are an omnivore, you eat when there aren't any animals around for you to consume, then you head over to vegetation. If there are animals around for you, then you can eat those high protein meals. But it's a great strategy because it also means that you can judge your energy investment very well. Because maybe a terrapin has seen a bird's nest before, for example, and there are chicks in the nest, but there are also adults in the nest or around the nest, and it wants to eat some meat today. It doesn't want to just continue to eat algae and other vegetation growing by the water. Uh, the could, because it is an omnivore, make some kind of judgment on how much energy investment it would take for it to get to that baby bird. Could it potentially what is the risk? Could it potentially get hurt? Could it die? It could make those determinations and then still have another choice. It doesn't have to take that nestling. Now, if you are an obligate carnivore like leopards and lions, so that just means that you're an animal that has to eat meat because one, you've evolved that way, so you don't have the type of digestive system that would allow you to process vegetation in any way. But obligate carnivore also means that there are essential nutrients and amino acids that you can only get from meat, from animal meat. We are now at Sardinella, I think, in Thorny Bush. Cass did tell me that she wanted to move over, and then I started thinking about being an omnivore. Sarandella, there we go. I am always dyslexic when I say this particular word. So, as an obligate carnivore, you don't have a choice. You can't weigh up the risks and then pick which one is more energy efficient and less risky. But as an omnivore, you kind of can. Whoa, Zygote, you say you've seen them catch a small dove and drag it into the water. What? Oh my goodness, Zygote, I haven't seen that. But you know what? Feels like we might have captured something with the cameras. Kirst will let me know if we ever have, but somehow when you say it, it doesn't sound as foreign as I thought it might. Very, very interesting. Sorry, Nyala, we were just busy chatting, and we forgot to mention how wonderful you are and how great you look. And your home here, Sardella and Thorny Bush, looks very lush. And we hope that you will enjoy the rest of the afternoon, Nyala. And the same goes to all of you. That's our 45 minutes up. To all the new community members who joined us, please do join us again on Thursday for Wild Moments. And all of you, please also join us. You know how much we love to see you all, especially since you can see our faces during Wild Moments. Anyway, everybody, thanks for your questions, for your comments, and most importantly, your company. I'll chat to you again soon, and I'll see you all on Thursday. Bye for now.